How's it going, everyone, on this fine Friday? Hope you are all doing well. Seems to be working on the back end there. Lovely stuff. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All having a good day, I hope. We've got more people in Nottingham for Wargaming than normal. A couple of events. There's a team event at the TSN Arena this weekend, and there is obviously the Warhammer World event, which I was going to be going to have since dropped from. Seems a bit slow on the uptick here. Have I come into the correct lobby? Anyone here in chat? Anyone here with me? Am I talking to myself? It has happened before. Hey! Hello, that rat bastard. Nice, nice. We're here. We're here. I'm not sure if it was no one was chatting or if YouTube would take you a while to update, but you all come through at the same time. Good to have you all. Hope you're all doing well. All of that good stuff. Hammer's has once again forgotten to submit a list. Well, so. The thing that I will say about that is, due to overwhelming demand, I think I need to go to doing this every week instead of every other week. Because I can't keep up with the amount of lists that people are submitting, which is a fantastic problem to have. Initially, I was doing it every other week, but I thought, you know, I didn't want to do it every week just because I didn't think there'd be enough lists. Now I'm at a point where I can't keep up, so let's do that. And you can enjoy, I should have muted, but you can enjoy my sparkling water being poured into a pink cup. There we go. So, Hams fan, I will open up the submissions next Thursday as well. In fact, let me, while I'm remembering now, let me put your name into the list. There we go. I've got a spreadsheet. So if I put you at the top, Hams fan. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is move to just having it be the fixed Friday stream, which is good. Because honestly, the other Friday streams were generally not as entertaining. I might do occasional off streams, like on the week of a big release when Beastmen come out. Might do some Friday night live game, something along those lines. But generally, I think we're going to go fix my list as so. If you're here and you haven't already, do give the stream a thumbs up. It really does help with getting boosted, picked up by the algorithm, all of that YouTuber bollocks. And yeah, let's get into it. So, as always, I'm going to start with the people who are here. That makes the most sense. So, let's go with Sam's list, that rat bastard. Because you're playing doubles with Morgine Glory. Obviously spoke to Morgine Glory recently. I assume most of you have seen the list, the video. It has done reasonably well, which is nice. And there is another video coming on his channel at some point in the not too distant future. So, this is for a 1,000 per person doubles event you're attending. You haven't seen his list yet, but he's looking at an infantry heavy build with Black Orcs that'll take a level 4, so maybe you don't need to. Gonna be...
Thicken your stream.
Thicken my stream. I am not sure what that means, but thank you very much. Appreciate that. Damien, I think I've got you in here, Damien. Yes, we have indeed. Perfect. Yes. So there were 21 lists submitted. As always, I only look at the ones past the point where I say, you know, submit at this point, just because otherwise it's too much legwork to go back, especially over a course of 2 weeks. So got to most of them. Sully, hell yeah, got you as well. Fantastic stuff. So we're looking to pair infantry heavy with Black Orcs, and he's going to take a level 4. You're probably taking Wolves of the Sea, but could take Skaven if you think that you should for some reason. And you've got a Dragon Lord, Demonic Mount Sorcerer, Chieftain, Broad Horseman, yeah, all of the stuff you'd expect to have. So what have you put in your list so far? Great. So we're starting off with a dragon. I think you're probably going to want to put a dragon in. I think that's a really solid shout to start off with. And as you say, you don't need to put a level 4 in, so you can just use your 500 points effectively. All of the above. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. Is there anything that we want to tweak here? So Chaos Lord, Great Weapon, Shield, Undivided, 2 Favors of the Gods. Is it better to go... we'd have to drop 1 Favor of the Gods and the Shield to get you to have Mark of Nurgle, so it's probably not worth going for. Is it worth dropping the Shield, or is it worth dropping the Great Weapon down to a Flail? That is an option. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Maybe we just leave that as it is. A Great Weapon is solid. You don't necessarily need a mark. We're in a pretty okay spot here, I think. So, 2 squads of Marauder Horsemen, Mark of Khorne, ambushes, musicians, flails. Yeah, these are good. Ambushes, I do quite like ambushes, especially in Wolves of the Sea. Oh, Wolves of the Sea is really good. You can't buff each other, so no arcane urgency. Hoping you can guarantee first turn with a Sonda to start a game challenge. Yeah, I was just about to say, the turn 1 is very good. So you're going to go for the always strikes first sword, who's got a flail. Let's just remind ourselves. Do they have Mark of Khorne as well? Mark of Khorne, yes. And they have 2 attacks base for the first sword. You get a 3rd for the Mark of Khorne. You don't get Furious Charge, but you do have always strikes first. So you're probably going to be hitting something on 4s realistically. So 1.5 hits, potentially a wound. Yeah, not too bad there. That's pretty decent. Huskarls are a solid place to start. And worst case scenario, your character dies, or your champion dies, then your stupidity falls off from this item. So I guess that's not the end of the world. Is there anything in there? No. Okay. I think this is solid. I'd like to see a giant spawn in here, but also I think this makes sense in terms of just guaranteeing you first. Typically, people don't accept the challenge when you take this specific build. Perfect. That's absolutely ideal. Means you don't even have to roll it. Yeah, I think this is a good list. This looks solid. It's very sort of bare bones, but 1,000 points when you're taking a dragon, there's not much else you could do. The tweak you could make is you could go down to a flail and a single Favour of the Gods and go Mark of Nurgle, or just go down to a flail and take a 3rd Favour of the Gods. I think I prefer the Great Weapon, honestly. I think that's fine. There's no way you could fit in a Warpfire Dragon as well. No, there isn't. Of course there isn't. Not in 1,000 points. I think this is good. I think it's more, it depends what Tim's going to bring. I would like to see this paired with something a bit faster than infantry, ideally. So, infantry's all well and good, but if he could pair it with like a Wyvern or a squad of Boar Boys that hit pretty hard, because you've got some pretty fast aggro, so it would be good to have something to synergize with that. Might be worth asking him if he's got any Boar Boys or something, because they do hit hard. But yeah, this looks good. This is an efficiently set out list. I personally prefer 6s on Marauder Horsemen, but we're playing to a very limited set of points, and I don't know that I'd drop a squad of Warhounds for it. I think 2 squad of Warhounds is better than 2 additional Horsemen, so this looks solid to me. Unless... how many points are these? 17 per. Yeah, so you can't drop a Huskarl. Dropping 1 Huskarl doesn't get you 2 Horsemen, so that's not worth doing. Cool. No, I like it. I'm not even going to post it. I'm not going to copy and paste it because I think this is good. If he really wants to play infantry, you maybe want to slow things down a little bit and you go more infantry focused. So you've got Flail Berserkers. Yeah, maybe you go less horse and you just go more bodies in terms of cheaper stuff. Because you could use cheap skirmishing marauders as a screen for his more expensive Black Orcs, and you could use those as like a shooting screen so that anything behind is taking -2 to be shot. That's maybe one option that you go for. Hi, Ironbound. Good to have you. We will get to your list later on in the thing. So I can see that we've got Ironbound, we've got Goldfire, we've got Sully. All of you have submitted lists. Cool. So this was a nice, easy one to start with. No need to tweak. Would you run with flails or cheaper? I'd probably still give them flails, because if they get somewhere, they're still decent. I'm assuming you're running them as the berserkers, right? But marauder horsemen. Can you run skirmishing regular marauders? Yeah, 0-1 unit with skirmishers. You could go like a cheap unit of hand weapon shield marauders as well if you wanted to just go like maximum screening. So you could go 8 Mark of Corn so they don't panic. Put them in front. They're only there to soak up shots, and then the berserks do the same thing but better, and you just sort of like overwhelm. But I think I like this list more. It's just if he wants to play only slow stuff. Cool. I can't wait. It's your first Old World list. Excited to hear what you think. Okay, cool. Well, let's just go straight to yours then, Ironbound. Let's do that. I think you submitted lower down. Let's read what you put with your list here. You're welcome. Okay, so I've got... Yours was the dwarf list, wasn't it? Yes. So, playing around with a dwarf concept for a refused flank. The battle plan is to shoot with the Iron Drakes till they get charged, then fall back in good order or flee through the Longbeards and Hammerers, forcing the enemies into a situation where they have to either charge the Hammerers Longbeards or restrain Reform 3 inches in front of them to where the Iron Drake frontage was. I think that is a solid plan in general. Dwarves, you want to make them come to you. So I think the general concept I like. I think it's solid. Some people are just going to ignore you, but there's nothing you can really do about that, unfortunately. That is something that you're just going to have to put up with. You're not yeeting, so I'm not sure that I care about the dwarf cart, but it's pretty cheap, so it's not super important. And you can put it behind the Longbeards so that when they shield wall backwards, they don't go anywhere. You can use it to physically block them in place. Because obviously with shield wall, they get charged. They give ground instead of falling back in good order. They give ground into the dwarf cart, which is directly behind them. They can't move, so whatever has charged you is then locked in with you. That's the usage there. King. So, King. I like this. I think the Rune of Fury is fine. I also think this is the only thing that's going to threaten a dragon in your list, though. So let's drop the Runes of Fury. You've already got the Rune of Smiting, which is fantastic. This is giving you multiple wounds d6, so any wound that goes through is liable to cause real damage. You want to then pair that with a Master Rune of Gromril. This means that you have a 2-up save, and against a dragon, like a standard dragon, that isn't running like an Ogre Blade, or even if they are running an Ogre Blade, most of your armor saves are going to be a 4-up, which means that you've got a 4-up save and then a 5-up ward from the Runesmith. So this just means that you're probably not dying. And then the Master Rune of Rune of Preservation as well is important because it stops you being killing blowed, multiple wounds as well. So this means that you can challenge out dragons, you can challenge out their Bretonnian lords. It makes you super tanky. Papa Wheelie says 30 people, 8 likes. Got to get those numbers up. Appreciate you, Papa Wheelie. Thank you very much. I would indeed help get picked up in that algorithm. We can drop the shield if we're doing that as well, because you've already got a 2-up save from your thing. So you've only got 4 attacks, but any of those attacks that do connect are going to do, a scary amount of damage. And anyone who is playing a dragon should think twice about going into you. And you're also super tanky, because you're on shield bearers, so you're up to 6 wounds. 6 wounds, T5, with a 2-up save and a 5-up ward from the Rune of Grogny. This does worry me a little bit, because you can put the BSB as a runesmith, but they're super, super easy to kill. So all he's got is a 3-up save and a 5-up ward and 2 wounds. This is the thing that's keeping the entire Death Star together. So I personally think, let's take the BSB off the runesmith. We're probably keeping a runesmith. I'm going to drop down to 2 runes of spell breaking for now. Maybe we go back up to 3. And we go for a Thane, who's a BSB who is on shield bearers, and we give them the BSB. What did you go with here? You had Grogny Confusion Battle. I think that's solid. Grogny Confusion Battle. You could split this out into 2 separate Thanes, but just you're already squeezed on points. There's no harm in having it on the guy with the handgun. It does hurt you a little bit in that you need him to be facing towards where you're going to shoot, but I think it's safer to go with the Thane, because you're now You've still got your 3-up armor save, but you've got 5 wounds instead of just the 2 that you had previously. So you're much harder to chew through to incidental damage. Runesmith, still having it here is fine, but if we're going with the runes of spellbreaking, you can probably just go for a great weapon in there as well. Hello, Heathen General. Hope you're doing well. Core, the Longbeards are solid. I don't think there's anything I cared about changing. Rune of the Furnace, this was just a cheap rune so that you could take Rune of the Passage on the hammers as well. That makes sense to me. And then we've got the Iron Drakes as well. Basically, this puts us 30 points over because we've made the BSB harder to snipe out. How do we find those 30 points? Because we're not getting them out the Longbeards, which is a big unit. I don't really want to drop the hammers to 12. Maybe we just take the Bugman's Cart out. You know, it's a decent enough idea, but I also don't know that it adds too much to this list because you're not going for the yeet. I think it's fine just to drop it. And then we've got 33 points left, which is plus 2 hammers. Ah, of course. Of course, that puts us over. We could just drop the shield on the runesmith here. But yeah, I think something like this is probably pretty solid. So the Iron Drakes can obviously stubborn the way through, because they do come with stubborn, don't they? Yeah. Stubborn the way through the Longbeards and the Hammerers, then the charge goes into those, and you get to do good stuff. You've got BSB, who's got Confusion, Battle, and Grogny for the ward, Confusion, and then the +1 combat res. So this unit, if you stack combat res and want to win that way, which is sometimes the way you're going to do it, you're going to be looking at Close Order, 2 ranks, Standard, BSB, Rune of Battle, perfect. Yeah, so that gets you to the magical 7, so you can just challenge with a unit champion and then win with a musician. So this is solid. You've made the King is tankier, the Thane is tankier, the Runesmith's still in here. The only downside is the Thane has to stay in the unit, so he loses that 360 shooting. I think it's a worthwhile sacrifice. He's quite happy being in units because he adds to the standard shoot really nicely. You followed Richie's guide to get into +7. Richie knows a lot more about dwarves than me. If you've followed his guide, that's why this makes sense. Here, Rune of Battle, Rune of Courage. Rune of Courage is huge. At a recent tournament, I terrored a Death Star of dwarves off the board in game 1. I think it was turn 2. Turn 2 or turn 3, which is pretty horrifying for my opponent. And then the Iron Drakes make sense as well. Cinderblast Bombs for the standard shoot, Trollhammer Torpedo just to cause some threats. Yeah, I like it. I think this is good. I think this is solid. So what we're going to do is we're going to link this. We haven't had to make many tweaks. I think the core of the list was solid. So let's just go... There we go. Perfect. As always, if you've got any tweaks, like once you've played it, if you think something doesn't work particularly well, give me a shout. Ping me in the Dwarf channel and we can tweak that one as well. How's everyone's week been? Has it been a good week for you all? I'm looking forward to my weekend. My partner's had her flat, not quite flood, but the hall of her flat. They were doing some drilling in the walls for some reason, but the water hasn't reached her flat and it's been resolved. Hope one of the trace made the list in. Yes, there was... Oh, I don't know if they did, actually. No, they didn't, unfortunately. But we can just generally... Thunerific. Let's have a look. So before I get into one of the lists, let's just have a quick look at trace in general. So, Ed's list. Let's have a look. So the soup list. If you look at Ed's list, where he's gone 40 white lions. Okay, I'm going to have to, I think the version that's on the soup tin probably isn't. Yeah, there we go. We did need to see more stuff. Okay, so he's gone for a Death Star of white lions. He's gone 2 units of sisters. And then he's gone Archmage, Core Hill, Prince. I like this. If I'm going for a Death Star of white lions to that extent, I really am tempted to put something in there to keep them alive. Maybe the Archmage is high magic. He hasn't got that on here. Hello, miniatures and stuff. That's an interesting face you've got there. Sully just booked your Nova Open trip. Hell yeah. It's always nice to go to one of the bigger, more exciting tournaments, eh? So yeah, if you look at Ed's list, the one that was near the soup tin, I think the dragon is good. It's nice and defensive. Triple save, great weapon, is just solid in general. Pure of Heart as well because it's free. Core Hill on the chariot is pretty solid. He's not like the out and out most effective choice, but he's pretty solid still. Relatively beefy, hits relatively hard, isn't too expensive. Then we've got an Archmage with a silvery wand. I'm assuming high magic to go with the White Lions. I think that's probably what it is. And then the big unit White Lions, Banner of Balance is fine if you want a defensive choice. Lawmaster's Cloak for the ward save against magic missiles is good. Veterans is good in there as well. And then the Sisters are good as well. One with the Bow of the Seafarer, one with the Ruby Ring Ruin. This is pretty much cookie cutter what I would expect to see in a solid list for the White Lions detachment. The only thing that you maybe do is you drop the number of the White Lions and you put in some of the Woodsmen as well. But you still keep like 24 or 26 White Lions, and then you go 2 squads of 8 or 10 on the Woodsmen. But yeah, no, I think that's a good place to start if you're looking at specifically the Woodsman list. All right. Okie dokie. Let us have a look. So where were we up to next? I did kind of just go down the list. I did see Goldfire here as well. So Goldfire had a list that was described as, if it was Magic the Gathering, it would be white-blue control. Now, I do enjoy white-blue control, but I hate playing against it. So I was partially in appreciation and partially throwing up in my mouth, which I think is a fairly reasonable response to that sort of list. Let's have a look here. You've been running this list with pretty good success. Can't decide on 3 times illusion for the potential lots of control with the BSB taking Plague of Rust plus 1 spell. The alternative is 3 times elementalism plus BSB with illusion. That's the main thing you'd like to hear my opinion on. The Ushabti have bows, just doesn't show up. Ambush for lower drops. Yep, that's good. Skirmishers will anti-scout and anti-green knight in deployment zone. Obviously they won't ambush if needed for this. Yep, perfect. Big fan of units of 4 Bishabti with champions. Yep, me too. I think they are solid. And the list runs no casket. I think that's fine. I like caskets, but I can see them not being taken, especially now that you can't combo them. So the list that you've submitted, for some reason it says 915 on my screen. Have I put something in wrong here? Need a level 1 with Serpent. Thank you. I knew I was missing something. Because all the lines were close together, I ended up, my eyes just sort of blurred over, I guess. Amulet of the Serpent. There we go, 2,000 points exactly. And that's illusion as well. Okay. 3 level 4s on illusion is wild. It is pretty wild, but I don't hate it, I think. So illusion is interesting. Obviously the spells that you're looking for are Glittering Robes, fine. Mind Razor's not bad, but you're not comboing it with Necromancy, so you're probably not getting much value out of it. It's mostly Column of Crystal and Miasmic Mirage. And this is basically, you're just saying you're never going to charge me, which I think is interesting. The thing that I wonder is, would you want more skeleton skirmishes, so you've got more places to hide the High Priest? That's the sort of first adaptation I'm thinking. But then points are pretty tight. I think this is fine. Obviously you're elementalisming the Mortuary Priest. I almost wonder if you, like, I understand that you can get the plus to cast on the level 2 with Lore Familiar. Is it just better to let's try rejigging this. So we go Mortuary Priest, who doesn't have a Lore Familiar, and we're going to go level 1 with Amulet of the Serpent. I understand that a level 2 is fairly like classic to put in, but you've got 3 level 4s already. Mirage and Column plus signatures, not risking casting others. Yeah, exactly. So, and then do you go for a level 4 elementalism here with Lore Familiar? And you know what, this can be a level 2 with illusion as well. That's fine. I'm just wondering if this is better. Where's Lore Familiar gone? There we go. And the reason I'm wondering if this is better is because you're not always, or if you're playing against someone who's got high amounts of Dispel, like if they're stacking Dispel, you've got more to cast, and you also don't need to sacrifice as many wounds to get it to be guaranteed. I don't know if that's better. That's like the only sort of real adaptation that jumps out at me, because I think this is obviously a very clearly tuned list, and there's not much to tweak. So my two thoughts, and I don't know that we make much difference here, but you could go a second squad of skeleton skirmishers, so you can put your high priests more spread out safely if they're playing pillars of fire. And then you've got, I guess, one more skeleton archer. Like, this is the only sort of... If I was writing the list, maybe I tweak it this way. But I also don't hate the list that you've got. This is more hypothetical tweaks. Like, I don't know if this makes it better. This is just sort of... It gives you a little bit more flexibility here. It doesn't increase your drops. Gives you a little bit more safety if you want to spread out your wizards. Gives you more coverage for your illusion casters. You've still got the Ushabti. You've still got the Tomb Scorpions. The only thing you lose is 2 levels of illusion here. But you gain a more reliable teleporting around. But then you also have to put 2 characters in the Skeleton Archers. So maybe this isn't better. Maybe it isn't better at all. I don't know. I think your list is pretty much there, honestly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to... Thoughts on going 4 times Elemental for Mortal Use Spells. I don't think I like that. I think this sort of list has such good range damage anyway, between the Great Bows. You know what I would like to see in here? Probably a Ruby Ring of Ruin, actually. Like, because you're doing most of your damage at range, right? So just fitting in a Ruby Ring on one of the High Priests would be fine. You probably have to sacrifice... I'm not sure what you'd cut. There's a few things you could cut. Obviously, this is not the version that you have put in. This is one that I've tweaked around with. Or if you went for this version, you could go... drop the second squad of skeleton skirmishers, because honestly, if you've only got 2 high priests sort of floating around separately, maybe you don't need it, and this one gets Ruby Ring, and then you just go a few more archers, something like that. But I don't think I like the full elementalism. You like illusion, the local group call it Fondant. Yeah, this is awful to play against. Like, let's be honest with each other. This is a horrible list to have to play against. That doesn't mean that it's not a good list, and this is a list that I would be very happy to take to a tournament. Your local playgroup may have concerns with playing you if they hate playing against illusion, but that's a separate question. If you want to make them have more fun against you, I probably wouldn't be playing Mortuary Cult, just because I think Mortuary Cult is, to its core, an anti-interactive list, which is strong for winning games, but is poor for making people have fun with the game, which is unfortunate for them. Harry says, you're taking the streaking grime off your Bone Ripper. And you're having to strip it and repaint it. That sounds like a pain in the backside, honestly. Not playing this for casual games. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think this is good. I think I probably still prefer your version, but find some way to put a Ruby Ring in, I think, just for a little bit of extra range damage, because you're winning through denying them doing anything and then having the extra ranged output. So I think I would cut something to fit that in. I'm not 100% sure what I'd want to cut, honestly, in your version of the list. Maybe get greedy and go down for 3 Tomb Swarms, but I don't love that. 6 archers, yeah, that's fine. When you get to yours, forgot to send disc, no theme for list other than lots of shooting. Do whatever I want with the list. Open to your input as always. Cool, will do, Damien. But yeah, I think this is good. I'm going to link this one. I don't think this is better, but you may as well have a copy of what we've mentioned here, just for the sake of the discussion. But yeah, no, I think you've got a solid, like 3 units of Forashabti is kind of terrifying. I do hate the concept of that. That makes me feel very sad. Harry says using the white spirits to add the grime, then blood effects. Oh, cool. That sounds good. I am a big fan of the grimy models. Perfect. Well, who was first here? Let's get your list, Damien. Let's just go straight to that one. You're the one who has loads of random Skaven, but nothing that works together as an actual list. Oh, brilliant. Well, after we've done Damien's and Meket's list, we can get to yours then. Cool. So let's go down. Damien, Wood Elves. So, the first point of order, Damien. I'm not saying don't play Wood Elves. I am saying that now is not a great time to be starting Wood Elves, because we're going to be getting new rules for them within the next 2 or 3 months. I will still critique the list. Hey, Petunia's here as well. Hell yeah, we'll get to you as well, Pirate. That's fantastic. It's always nice when people are here. So let's look at this and then sort of discuss what we would do. So dragon, this dragon is good. Ogre Blade, Talisman Protection, Annoyance of Netlings. I do quite like the Befuddlement of Mischiefs if you want to lean into it, but you don't have to. So the main reason you go for this is so that your Ogre Blade hits them on 3s. It's less for the defensive benefit, and it's more so that when you're fighting another Dragon Lord, you hit them on 3s, you've got an Ogre Blade, so you're wounding them on 4s, all of that good stuff. But it's not necessary. Yours is Beastman, and I know the same as far as I knew as the Arcane Journal is coming out. Heathen General. Let's have a quick look here. I didn't get to yours, Heathen. Sorry, because we have so many lists. But I have got you and 4 other people at the top of my priority list for next week, because we're so slammed with lists now, which is great. I can justify doing it every week. So next week I will be doing another Fix My List stream. Let's have a look here. Hey, Existence. Hope you're doing well. So, Glade Lord's good. Spellweaver is... I would make some different choices. So, Talismanic Tattoos are fine, but I don't think they're worth the 15 points. She's a T3 3-wound elf who's naked. If she gets into combat, she's dead. And similar to that, let's just drop the Glamour Weave as well. Glamour Weave, for anyone who doesn't know, enemy models have to make a leadership test before rolling to hit. This is, in theory, fun, but realistically, they're just going to pass their leadership test, so let's get rid of it. Oaken Stave is good, and the Ruby Ring of Ruin. Both of these are great items. Elementalism is a fine lore. I don't hate that at all. On foot, it's whatever. I like having them on a steed with a unit of Glade Riders, sorry, but it's not, neither for or against. Saurus Blood was really disappointed with my performance at the last tournament you went to, so you've completely retooled the Exiles. Just want to know if I went crazy. Oh, have you just posted that in chat? Right, okay. Well, let's continue on with this one. So the Glade Lord and the Spellweaver are fine like here. You want to run the Glade Guard big unit. So that's the thing. I wouldn't be running a Glade Guard big unit. Elves... So if you look at what Glade Guard bring, they're a T3 unit with 1 wound, and they have no defensive stats. So they are going to fall over as fast as possible. So what don't really want to do is have big units that can be run at. You're also not going to be shooting as many shots as you want. Yes, if you stand still, you can volley fire. But if you're, instead of running 20, if you split those up into multiple units, you would have a better time, realistically. 7x3 in the Freewood. You could do that. I would probably drop them. So let's say we drop them to... let's just drop them to 10. 10 is fine. We're going to take off the standard. You could keep it. I'd probably just drop the standard. Like, standards give up 3 points if they charge you. Buff these up to 8s, and then let's just go for another unit of Glade Guard. Something like this. Glade Guard are minimum units of 5, aren't they? So you could go a 10 and a 9, like this. It does put you slightly over points-wise, but this is much harder for your opponent to interact with. You're going to get more shots with it more consistently. So these are just general principles, Damien, because obviously with new rules coming, things are going to change, but this is sort of generally what I'd say. In terms of what's safe, you're probably going to want... you might not always want the Deepwood Scouts, but a couple of units of 8 Deepwood Scouts is probably a relatively safe bet for your Wood Elf collection, if you're starting sort of building and painting it now. A Spellweaver on foot or on mount, probably a safe bet as well. The Dragon Lord is maybe a little risky. Maybe leave that one until we see what rules are coming. Treekin are cool. If you like Treekin, I believe we do have a Forest Spirit detachment. Hopefully that makes Forest Spirits better, because at the moment they're a bit underwhelming. But if you're going Elementalism, Treekin are kind of okay, because they are super tanky. If you give them a ward save as well, they're really hard to interact with. And they've got 3 attacks and a good weapon skill for monstrous infantry. Only strength 4 and with no offensive rules here, apart from the Armor Bane 2. But if you've Plague of Rusted your opponent, then they effectively have AP2 weapons. At which point they are not terrible. Wild Riders, in this squad, I'd give them a Musician, I'd give them shields as well. I know they're still really squishy, but a 5-up save sometimes passes. A 6-up save almost never does. Makes a big difference against stuff like Ruby Ring of Ruin. Rampaging Banner on this squad is probably quite wise. I like when you have to charge, making sure you do charge is pretty smart. And then you've got the Great Eagle in there for the blocking. Any idea when the Wood Elves will be released? I would guess somewhere between 8 to 12 weeks would be my guess, but I don't actually know. So yeah, I think here I would be like all of these things, because we know there's a Wild Hunt detachment, we know there's a Forest Spirit detachment, and we know that Deepwood Scouts are good. Like, individual pieces of this list are probably safe to start working on, but I probably wouldn't commit to a full list yet. Beastmen, you're more able to do so. I think Beastmen, the stuff that's in Beastmen now, is typically going to be more applicable to Beastmen in general than what is for Wood Elves. Worth building a mage on an eagle? I wouldn't say so. So an eagle is, if you look here, I thought they were a large target for some reason. I still probably wouldn't do it. If you look at the stats you get for the Great Eagle, I think it's +1 toughness, +1 wound. So you get to 4 wounds at T4, but that doesn't actually give you anything, and you're a monstrous creature, so you can't hide it. They're cool models, so if you want one just for like a modelling perspective, go for it. I would say first port of call, Spellweaver on Elven Steed. That's probably the best way to do things. Because you could run them around with some Glade Riders. Glade Riders are great. They are... So you take like 6 to 8 of them, you take a Glade Knight, you take a Musician, you give them Hagbane tips, and then you also give them Reserve Move. This is the thing that keeps them safe. So basically, your Wizard is always able to see your opponent to do the thing that they want, and then you move 9 inches afterwards, because Glade Riders, fast cav with Skirmish and 9 inches. That's going to keep you more safe than any sort of magical item or anything like that. So I'm not going to link this one, because this isn't a list that I'd recommend you play, but we've sort of gone over general principles. I think there's a good chance that this Glade Lord still stays, the thing that you want to use. But generally, I'd say hold off for a couple of months. And if you want to start hobbying, Deepwood Scouts, Wild Riders, Treekin, depending on which direction you're more interested in going, they're the things that I'd start with the hobbying. No worries at all. I have no idea what's coming in Wood Elves, which is really annoying because I am so hyped for them. I'm such a huge fan of Wood Elves thematically, so I can't wait. But I've put them to the side for now because I don't know what's coming at all. Okay, so let's have a look here. Who else did we have? Harry. In fact, let's just move up the ones that we've done. So we've done those 3. I think that was it. Ironbound. I knew there was another one that we'd gone through, so let's put you up here. Let's have a quick look at... Where's the Skaven gone? Thane of the Bad Moon. So these are the models that you've got available, and you want to try and make a list that's not terrible. So the good news is you have the models that unlock the things. So you've got the Warlock Engineer and the Plague Priest to unlock the Jezzails, the Hellpit Abomination, Plague Censer Bearers, all that good stuff. So that's good. Actually, Hellpit Abomination I don't think is locked to anything. These 3 here. So the problem with Skaven is, and I'm assuming you're not playing Renegades, I'm assuming you're just playing the sort of base Grand Army rules. The big problem with Skaven is they are pretty inefficient, and if you want to do them well, my advice is always to hammer home on one of 3 Death Stars. So you either go for a Plague Monk Death Star, you go for a Storm Vermin Death Star, or you go for a Gutter Runner Death Star. So I think if you want to play Warhammer like as close to as people would expect Warhammer to be played, either Storm Vermin or Plague Monks. I think Plague Monks might be better, but you also can't take the Plague Monks in core, which means you then have to take more rubbish. So you could just take the Storm Vermin and bump them up to a big unit. So let's assume that you're doing Storm Vermin, because you've got some of these models already, so I'm assuming you like those ones. So let's bump them up to, let's say 20, let's say 30, because they are still pretty squishy. We are going to drop the Rat Ogres. They're lovely models, but they're not particularly useful. They are great unit fillers. That is what I would use them for at the moment. And we don't necessarily need a weapons team there. So, Giselles are fine. They maybe stay in. I think we probably drop the Plague stuff for now. I'm not sure it's doing much. And the Hellpit Abomination is unfortunately an incredibly inefficient unit just in terms of what it brings to the table. So, if we're trying to build this without adding too much to your purchase list, so we've got double wizard, which I think is fine. We've got a chieftain. Warlock engineer is not necessary, but it's a maybe. We've added a box of storm vermin, and we're going to add some more gutter runners. So you've got 12 at the moment. Let's just go 3 squads of 8. I know you said they're equipped with throwing weapons. People aren't really going to care. I think units of 8 with slings are probably the way that I would go with them, just in terms of if you're running them as separate units. And I don't necessarily want to advise you to buy more Warplock Giselles. That feels like an expensive purchase of something that's a bit underwhelming, personally. Probably get a box or 2 to expand, just want something that works. Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to keep it to sort of as close to what you've got already. And if we go 1 box of Gutter Runners, 1 box of Storm Vermin, and then we go from there. So Chieftain, Banner of Verminous Skimmering. This is a pretty solid banner, but I actually think I like the Storm Banner more. Grand Banner of Superiority. So the reason for that is Storm Vermin do not have Horde, I'm pretty sure. Nope. Am I talking rubbish? I am talking rubbish. They do have Horde. So they've got Close Order and Horde. That's 4. Standard, BSB, War Banner. Oh, you don't actually need the Grand Banner of Superiority. Okay, let's go with Banner of Verminous Scurrying then. And we're going to go with War Banner. Oh, screw it. Let's go War Banner of Superiority. You may as well go for the better version. It's not like you're trying to save points in your core units here. You like Warlock Engineer with a pistol, Ruby Ring, 2 levels of battle magic, dropping a spell for Skittle Leap so he can be outside of the spell behind the enemy, spitting fireballs. Let's go for that. That sounds like a solid shout. And again, you may be equipped with a musket, but you're holding a gun. If you tell people it's a pistol and you clear it's a pistol and you don't change it, no one's going to have an issue with that. Or no one should have an issue with that. So let's go... Where's the Ruby Ring of Ruin? It's here somewhere. Here somewhere. Ruby Ring of Ruin. Okie dokie. So, we've got 2 wizards to work with. So, I think I quite like Demonology. Demonology is good because it gives you all of the stuff you want. So, for Death Star, you're going to be looking at Steed of Shadows. That gives you the ability to get the Death Star where you want it to be. Being able to march 24 inches is very strong. Then you've got Demonic Vessel to give them +1 strength and AP, so that gets them up to strength 5, AP 2 with 2 attacks each, which makes them hit actually kind of okay. Demonic Vigor getting them up to T4 is really nice as well. So this is a good spell lore, and you're going to want to take Lore Familiar, so you can pick the spells you want, and then Power Scroll is good as well. Is there anything else that we're super in love with here? I don't think so. I think that's fine. Then the second one we're going, you could go multiple different things. Elementalism is the obvious one. I'm going to say Battle Magic. The reason for Battle Magic is you can roll all your spells in here and they're usually pretty good. So Fireball's good, Curse of Our Attraction's good with the amount of Gutter Runners here. Pillar of Fire is obviously a great spell. Arcane Urgency is fantastic, being able to move something twice. You've got a lot of skirmishers that can march 10 inches or 12 inches already, so being able to move twice is good. You can, fly 24 inches with the Storm Vermin after you've Steed of Shadows, and then you can march them and move again. Oaken Shield. This is the big thing. It gives the unit that he's in a ward save. So the 30 Storm Vermin gets the ward save. With Elementalism, you can't cast it into combat. So it just means that you're able to keep that alive. And then Curse of Cowardly Flight is a spell that exists. So there isn't a way to increase reliability, unfortunately. Do you want the Warp Condenser? Probably not. Do you want the Storm Demon? I think definitely not. I think it's not particularly efficient. Skaven Brew is a good spell, though. So, not a good spell, a good item. Don't forget to level 4 them. Thank you, I had forgotten. Good shout. There we go. So that leaves us at 150 points to go. And you know what? Let's say -1 Storm Vermin. So you've got 29. And then maybe convert one of these up to have a Skaven Warlord. Because they're going to charge you. So you may as well have someone who hits kind of hard. What magic items can we load this guy up with? I mean, Ogre Blade is the obvious thing. So he is Initiative 7, which means that a lot of the time he's going to be striking first. Obviously, you don't feed him into a challenge with a dragon, because you're just going to lose. But you could do this, and then you could go... You don't even need Talisman of Protection, because you're going to be casting a ward save on yourself, theoretically. Maybe you just go fully into the... You want to kill stuff. Go for a Paymaster's Coin, so you're definitely hitting. Warlords and Gracies are 1 per 1,000. Of course they are. I've been looking at the Renegades thing. Okie dokie. In that case, screw it. We'll not even bother with that. Let's give the Skaven Chieftain the Cowardly Shield. Cautious Shield. So Cautious Shield gives you basically +3 to your save. So with heavy armor, you get up to a 2-up save, which means that if you are accidentally going to be hit, your BSB does stay alive, provides you with all of the additional resists there. Combat res, which is important. So we've got Double Wizard, and we've got the Warlock Engineer that's going to flit around and do its own thing. The Chieftain that's there to add combat res to the Storm Vermin. What are we doing with the last bit of the points? I don't love much else that you had in here. The Plague Claw Catapult is probably the best one, but you'd need to put the Plague Priest back in, so maybe we avoid that one. Maybe we just go Warp Lightning Cannon. Is that a thing? We could put the Weapons team back in. It was a Warp Fire Thrower. I don't think they're awful, but I also don't think they're particularly good. I'm kind of just ambivalent on them. But if you're trying to avoid spending too much, that's not the end of the world to put back in. And then... Is there anything we can do here to round out the last of the points without adding loads of models? Let's have a quick look at what you had in here. Was there anything? Was there anything? Tell you what, let's just go... Let's fill up the rest of the points with the Storm Vermin, and you can use the Rat Ogres as unit fillers, and that will provide you with the additional models. Oh no, of course, there's something that we could put in here. We need to make the unit a little bit more survivable. I haven't done that at all. So let's give them Shadow Magnet, so they're -1 to be shot, and let's also go... where have you gone? Spell Eater Axe. Gives the unit magic resist 2 as well. And then we need to tweak some points, so if we go -1 here, and is there anything that we can tweak to take out? I guess we're just going 28 Storm Vermin. Something like this is fine. So just be aware that if you're playing Skaven, you're already at a little bit of a disadvantage. But with your collection, I think I've managed to optimize it to a point where it's not too far off, I would hope, in terms of what you're able to bring without buying loads of extra stuff, because obviously that's not a reasonable expectation for playing Warhammer. Yeah, hope that's helpful. And again, if you need to make any more tweaks, feel free to ping me in the Skaven channel. Fellblade, baby. Fellblade, I can't get along with. It's funny, but the fact that you're not unlikely to kill yourself is too much of a meme. You are welcome, Harry. You're welcome. Go forth and skitter, I believe, is the correct Skaven greeting. Other than the ward save, did demons get anything from the Renegades update? Really? I think so. It's been a hot minute since I've looked at them. Ward save is big. I think the ability to take... They can take multiple greater demons, and where they take their units is a bit more friendly, so you don't have to... you're not tied into taking a Zinch caster if you want to take... horrors or however the table works. The way it's laid out for Grand Army Demons is pretty poor. Is the Warpfire Thrower good? I've never had it turn out well. I don't think it's amazing, but I think if we're going with this is the collection of, what we've got, I don't think it's awful. I think it's fun. The prince has got regen as well. Oh, that's true. Scouting Nurglings. Yeah, yeah. Good shouts. Good shouts. Well done, everyone. Good memory. So, this was Thane of the Bad Moon. Let's move on to Pirates Max Dragons. So I like this. This is just straight up full send, which I'm a huge fan of. There is one consideration we could make, which is, do we try and take any level of magic defense instead of one of these nobles? The answer is probably no, because it's not going to be good magic defense, but I think it's something to consider. So, let's start off with this unit here. Is there anything that we want to juice them up? I think this unit can have full command. I'm not afraid of giving this unit full command. You may have done that already, and I've just missed it, but let's start there with command on them. Also, the dragons are very bare bones. They are bare bones, but that's the problem with trying to fit dragons in. So magic standard, like this, I think Rampaging Banner here is nice because this is a unit you really want to get into combat, right? Triple Eagle. Do you need Triple Eagle? I guess you are impetuous across the board, so maybe you do need Triple Eagle, actually. Maybe we just leave that in for now. Let's have a look here. This has obviously got the free full plate. Feel free to cut a dragon to make the list work. No, God no. Let's go with a triple dragon. Because how often do you get to play a triple dragon lift, eh? This is something we should lean into. So, these have obviously got the free full plate as well. So they've got a 3 up, 6 up, which is fine. You've got 17 points available. Blood of Calidor. There really isn't anything to tweak, or anything to take away from this, is there? They are so sort of bare bones already. I'd like the general to be a bit tankier. But maybe this is just good enough. I don't really want to drop down to a Moon Dragon. Being T5 would suck. Would 3 nobles be better to have points for Seed of Rebirth? Maybe. The other thing I was considering is dropping them down to Griffins, but I think that's probably just not good enough. Why am I not in the pub? Pash, some of us have responsibilities and aren't alcoholics, actually. Thank you very much. You'll see me tomorrow. I'm coming out for food with you. Planning on heading up to Warhammer World, probably, I guess around sort of 4, 5-ish, something like that. After I've gone and socialised at TSN. Pub. I hate to disappoint you. I don't really drink either. It's not that I don't drink at all, but I just generally don't find much need to. Okie dokie. These Silver Helms. Let's give these Silver Helms the Ring of Fury as well, because if we're going full send, let's do it properly. You've already sent the Bookman's cart away. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to go full command on these, and we're going to go down to 7 models for points to work. And here we can go. It does make the points a little bit awkward. That's fine. We can tweak those as we need. The question really becomes, do we do anything here? Triple Noble is probably better. Okay, let's play around with this. I like... Let's keep the Prince, because there's benefits to the Prince, but let's drop the Prince down to a less good dragon, and then see how that pans out. So we'll put them on a Sun Dragon, but we're keeping the better weapon skill, we're keeping the extra wound, we're keeping the extra leadership. So I think the extra 60 points here is probably not an issue. So then magic items, let's just go Seed of Rebirth here, and then if we go on the Noble, Seed of Rebirth. In fact, we're going to go Seed of Rebirth, and then we're going to... Oops. Just duplicate this and get rid of the other one. It's going to be faster. There we go. So that leaves us with 67 points available. If I upgrade this to a Moon Dragon... Okay. And we can even give it the Dragon Helm. Yeah. This works. This works. So you've still kept the Prince. You do have 3 T5 dragons, but they now all have triple save. And you still have a Prince who's a bit, better. The only downside is it's a T5 dragon. Then you can run a BSB in the Dragon Princes. Yeah. Do you want a BSB instead? Probably. Let's just go back down to Sun Dragon then. And let's go Battle Standard Bearer. And I think just War Banner is correct here, realistically. Oh, good, yes, because that fits in. Shame you can't fit 4 dragons in the list. I know, it's a travesty. My heart bleeds as a dragon enjoyer. So we're 42 points over, so we need to drop something. So the obvious way to do that is to drop one of these. And then, I hate to do it, but I'm going to drop the musician. I like musicians. The reason I'm dropping it here is drilled means that you can march anyway, even if you're close to anyone. And that's like half the reason to have a musician. So we're just going to suck that up. And I think this is a better version. Like, it hits harder. It'll do more damage. I would like Ring of Fury on here. No, let's not get sidetracked. Let's not get sidetracked. I think... No, let's give them a ward save. I really don't want them to fall over. We're going to cut one of the eagles. I think they make sense in the list, but I think it's better to give this a Lawmaster's Cloak and a Ring of Fury. So you've got a ward save against magic missiles, and... or even, maybe not the Lawmaster's Cloak, actually. Maybe just go for a pair of Opal Amulets. Giving magic resist 2. That might be... Not Opal Amulets. Where have you gone? Obsidian Lodestones. There we go. Perfect. And then if we drop one of the eagles, 2 is still going to be mostly enough. Because you don't always need to avoid having them do something. And then you've got 15 points remaining. So I think we then just go back to something like this. And you give one of them... Give the squad of 5 veterans or something like that. I don't think it matters too much. There we go. I think this looks solid. Hell yeah. Shame we kind of dumber enough to run 2 Dragon High Elves before the end times. They just got cannoned off every time. That's pretty sad. Any idea why Tyrion and Teclis do not appear as named characters? So generally across the board, there aren't any named characters, or there aren't any major important characters as there were in the old world. This is a find your feet, get the game started again, lowest stakes edition. I think 2nd or 3rd edition is likely going to be the big Magic edition, and we see a big sweep of different rules, and we'll see like main characters come back, especially wizards like Teclis, something along those times. Hale just tapped in, well up for a weekly. Aslan here, not sure if you made the cut, but it didn't, unfortunately. There were 21 lists, I cut it down to 15, so people who got seen last week, unfortunately, weren't in. But, as I say, now that we're going to a weekly show, hopefully no one will be struggling to get their list seen in the future. Alright, cool. So we're doing well here. Do you reckon we'll get more complicated magic system? I think we will get a more impactful magic system. I don't know if they'll change how it works, but I think we will get more impactful magic. Sorry you're late. Love a 3 dragon list. Hell yeah, Ed. I didn't get to your list, unfortunately, Ed, in terms of... In fact, actually, no, I did talk about your list. You know what? I should... I need to show this on stream, because the soup camera is brilliant. Let me just... open this up. So Ed has been terrorizing me in terms of telling me to that he's going to shit in my mouth, and it's really unacceptable, and you know, I can't believe he'd do such a thing. No, he's been talking about soup a lot, which I'm still not 100% sure how it started or why it started, but it did. You resent that comment, Ed. You resemble that comment. You don't resent it. But this is high effort shitposting, and I appreciate it. It's good. I did talk about your list, actually, because someone said, I hope one of the trace lists get in. The bones of it were, I think the list is good. I'd like Banner of Resilience in there if possible. Maybe you drop the 40 white lines down and have some woodsmen in there as well. But the sisters are good, the characters are good, jobs are good. Corhill I would maybe drop, but he's also fine. Like, he's not bad, he's just not maybe the most cutthroat, but he's solid overall. Okay, where are we up to next? Anyone else here in the chat who I haven't got to yet? Getting the Banner of Resilience requires dropping Corhill, I think. Yeah, that is the trade-off, and I probably would make that trade-off, but you know, it's probably not the end of the world to not do that. It doesn't look like anyone else... Oh, yes, of course, Mechit. Sorry, buddy. You were here from the start. Where's your list gone? I might not have put it in because you had to repost it. Oh, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. What a muppet, eh? What a muppet. Yeah, so let's put it in now. Because you were first to the draw with your list. It is Grand Army, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like it. So we're going to start off with a General of the Empire, which is Imperial Griffin with 2 heads. So I'm going to critique it as I go. I think that's the most efficient way to do this. I probably wouldn't pay for the 2 heads. I don't think that's going to add much to you. It gives you an additional bite, and the bite is not good. So if we go down to here, it's rated more. You've got to make it with the Strength User, Armor Bane, multiple wounds too. So realistically, the bite's not doing much for you. Full plate, shield, dragon bow, and white cloak. This is a solid classic loadout. Where's the white bow? The dragon bow. Perfect. 337. Missing something on here. What am I missing? The 2 heads, which I've taken off. Perfect. Wish lines didn't need general in the unit to take challenges. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yours is under Artonus. Hell yeah, we'll get to... oh, Artonus. I don't think yours is on here, is it, Daniel? I'll check in a second. I just need to put this one in. Wizard Lord. Artonus. So the Wizard Lord is a level 4. Let's be smart and move this onto my second screen. Battle Magic, Armor of Tarnus, Ruby Ring of Ruin on a Pegasus, level 4. Ruby Ring of Ruin on the Armor of Tarnus. I don't know how I feel about needing a ward save on wizards. I know people do it, so I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but I think I'd just play fast and loose and be like, screw it, I'm not going to bother. I guess the Armor of Tarnus does give you light armor as well, so sure. Pegasus don't come with barding, do they? No, so it's only a 6 up, 5 up, which is, I guess, for a wizard, it's not awful. So into core, we've got some archers. Archers are still good, even now that scouts have been effectively nerfed, and you have got a marksman. They fill up points quite nicely, and there's a big unit of Empire Knights of the White Wolf, 14 of them. So you've gone for full command, War Banner, Ring of Tal. That makes sense to me. Ring of Tal is, just remind myself, Oaken Shield once per game. Yeah, I do like that one. I think that's solid. Wolf Hammers and Shields. It just says shields. It doesn't say anything. And then War Banner here. 413, 455. What am I missing? Drilled and Stubborn? Drilled and Stubborn. Yeah, perfect. That lines up. I think this core is good. I like this. You often see Witch Hunter's Ward on this character instead, but I think this is absolutely fine. I don't hate it at all. Into special, you've gone Demigryph Knights and Wardens, and then a Steam Tank. Okay, so I think your list is kind of lacking firepower. That's the main thing. I like the list, but it is going to struggle a little bit when you're playing against, like, Tomb Kings or Dragons or Vampire Counts. So the stuff that's really good, I think you might have a little bit of an issue. I probably would also go with Lancers over the Halberds. Realistically, once you're not charging, because yes, you do have, you charge in, you've got 4 attacks here with the Lancers. In subsequent rounds of combat, it's going to be the Demigryphs that do most of the actual output. I'd rather have the 2-up armor save than a 3-up armor save and then some piddly halberd attacks. I think that makes a lot more sense. And then the Road Wardens as well. Let's have a look here. Got a squad of 8. 8 might be a little bit beefy for this, honestly. Just on the basis of you have Captain Musician with Brace of Pistols. Yeah, this might be a little bit much. Just because you've got to get really close for the pistols to work. So maybe I'd split that up into a couple of units. And then you've got a Steam Tank as well with a Hochland Long Rifle, which is fine, but not super necessary. Where are we missing points? 514, 398. I've actually overspent here. Oh, because he's already paid for the Brace of Pistols down here. You don't need to go for it. I think that's it. Cool. Okie dokie. So we've got the list submitted. Daniel said submit it early today. Okay, let me just go and have a look at where that list is. You said it was under Artonis. I need to turn off streamer mode here so I can actually see things. Where are we looking? How far up was it? Because I'm not seeing it here. I might be being stupid. That is a potential. You know, there is a potential here. Danny Mac. Oh, Danny Mac. Okay, let's have a look at my spreadsheet. Right, Danny. Sorry, I didn't get round to yours in terms of the number of lists submitted. So just because of the amount of lists we've got here, I'm not going to be able to get to yours. Or maybe we can talk about it generally in terms of the end of the stream if there's time. But if you want to, feel free to ping me in the High Elf channel if you want to talk about it. Or I've got you on my list for one of the priority lists for next week's stream, just because we had more than I'm going to realistically be able to get to on this stream this evening. Okay, so let's have a look at Mechit's Empire here. So, this is all fine. I am a big fan of the knowing the additional spell. Let's have a look here. Sounds good. Okay, cool. Instead of the Armor of Tarnus, I'm going to say let's be cheeky and let's go Tomb of Midnight. So you don't get the +1 to any of your spells, but you do know +1 spell. And I think if you're on a Pegasus, so your loner, effectively the loner doesn't matter, your battle magic, having 5 spells in battle magic I think is really good. You're almost always getting what you want. There are 3 important spells. There's Pillar of Fire, there is Fireball, and there's Arcane Urgency. Outside of that, it's fine. You're also more likely to roll into Oaken Shield with battle magic if you take that. Yes, it's 30 points, which is maybe a little bit expensive for +1 spell known, but I think the consistency is just really, really valuable. This unit here is good. I like it. I don't know there's any tweaks that I'd make to the Knights of the White Wolf. I think this just makes perfect sense to me, honestly. The archers are good as well. I'm going to just drop them like this to 5 without command, just because we've got spare points to spend. We can fill them in if we need to. Demigryph Knights I think is solid. If we go Lancers specifically, just lean on that 2-up save. I think that's pretty solid. Do we want to give them anything as well? And give them magic items. Twice Blessed Armor is Hammerhand at all times. I don't know if that's worth it for 25 points. On them specifically, because their output is already pretty good, and you're not necessarily tying up them in the way that High Elves might. So maybe we just go like 2 units of 6 Road Wardens. That puts us pretty heavily over. Okay, that puts us pretty heavily over. What if we went 2 units of 5 without champions? How does that do points-wise? Puts us 4 points over. See, that I can get behind. And that's more guns, and it's slightly easier to maneuver around instead of having one big unit of 8. Oh, we can drop the Hockland long rifle. That's not doing anything for you. And yeah, and then we just go back to the marksman. I think this is... yeah. I think this works. I think I like this version more. Yeah, so we've dropped the second head here, because that's not going to do much for you. Here, we've given you a 5th spell and lost the ward save, but it doesn't matter because you battle magic. This is the same, this is the same, this is -1 model just for points. Demigryphs we've given lances, because that way you keep your 2-up save at all times. We've split the Road Wardens and added 2, and then you've still got the Steam Tank. I like it. It's mobile. I think you're going to struggle, honestly, against dragons and such, but I think along the lines that you've gone for, it seems pretty solid. And it's got, I think, a good amount of play in it. Whereas if you go for a more static list, you might struggle. Like the cannons can just get rushed down if you're not playing illusion casters. Skull says, better late than never. God, I can't even do talks. Can't do words. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. What should you do if you pick the wrong spell law? Be sad. That is the... You could talk to the TO before the first game starts, but realistically, you're probably just going to have to suck it up and deal with it. Okie dokie. So if I move this one up as well, and okay, was there anyone else here who shouted up? I know you were here. Somebody's here. All right, I think we might be on to just the rest of the lists now. So let's go through. Michael had a list here, which was Grand Army Ogres, and it's interesting. So it's a little bit of one of each thing, which you do get a little bit with Ogres. There was some accompanying text, so let's just scroll up to that one. Let's see here. Further up. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much, Sonny. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And again, as always, feel free to ping me for... If you find that you run into certain problems, do feel free to post in the Empire channel and ping me for adaptations. Oh, my green screen's falling apart. Okie dokie. So Michael says his list is called More Ogres, and there is some accompanying text. Part of 4 bodies that'll play a round-robin tournament over the next month or so. I'd be willing to change a lot, but I'm very partial to my Yetis. That's fine. I think Yetis are pretty cool. Let's drop the grey back off them to start off with. I don't think that is adding all that much, and it just lets you get challenged out. Mournfang Cav. So you've gone for the Slaughtermaster with the Butcher's Cauldron. Hey, Alex, your list is in, Alex. We can do yours after this one. So the Butcher's Cauldron is... I don't think it's good, because you can't do it if you're in combat, and it's a leadership test that joining a unit with Veteran doesn't apply to you. However, if you're also taking the spell, it's not the end of the world to take it. So let's just assume that you've got it in because you want to have it in, and that's fine. The Illusion Caster with Spangle Shard and Biting Blade, I think is fine. Giant Break is good as well. Gets you up to Strength 5 here. You can't refuse a challenge. That's fine. I'm assuming within your play group, that's not a problem. Because you said Orcs and Goblins, Wood Elves, Beastmen. So at best, there's 1 dragon. This is probably actually a pretty decent list into that field, because you're not going to have a lot of the things that people are, you're going to struggle to deal with. The Iron Guts here are fine. I'm going to take out the Cannibal Totem on them. And the reason for that is the only place the Slaughtermaster's realistically going to join is this unit. So you're already trying to give them the regen. So there's no point in double stacking it. We can go something like War Banner here. That's not a problem at all. You could go, if you wanted to, you could go Rune Maw to, turn off the target of the spell, but you're just going to try and dispel it with the Slaughtermaster that's in there anyway. Dragonhide Banner's fine, giving you rerolls, and it gives you flaming attacks. It's quite expensive. I think just War Banner is aggressively okay here. Demon Slayer Scars is fine as well. Giving the unit Terror is solid. I think just doing across the board Terror checks is good. You're not playing into Undead, so you're probably pretty happy with that. Ogre Bulls, going to have to take them. And then units of 3 Saber Tusks. This is interesting. This is not what I was expecting to see, but honestly, I don't hate it. An adaptation I would maybe make is change them to Vanguard. The reason for that is Scout just means that you're going to lose the +1 to go first, whereas Vanguard, you can drop them early and then move them, and I think that's really solid. The Iron Blaster and the Mournfang Cav are both good. I'd like another Iron Blaster, but we're going to be struggling on points. The Bull Standard's cute, but I'm going to say go with the Cannibal Totem here, because this is a really dense, hard-to-kill unit. Stacking your regen on top of them is probably the best thing that you can do with your points. So, Edward says, I think you mean Scout secure the win in the roll-off to go second. That is... Sure. Buffetti says, everyone excited to definitely get the Beastman pre-order announcement on Sunday. Only 3 weeks until we actually have it in our hands. Open brackets, definitely. It's really funny that you posted right next to Edward, who was super, thirsty for the high elf model posting. So that's you're in good company with your belief. I believe in you. Oh yes, the Bruiser. Bruiser. So there's 2 adaptations I'd make on the Bruiser. First one, let's give it a Talisman of Protection. You want it to survive. It's important. It's your big beefy thing. And I'm also going to say let's give it the big name Death Cheater. This means that you can make them reroll a single wound against them. They're not necessarily going to make you, with the armies you're playing against, you're not necessarily getting heroically killing blowed, monster slayed. But if they hit you with, like, say your Wood Elf opponent brings, or any of your opponents bring an Ogre Blade character, making them reroll a successful Ogre Blade wound is quite nice, and it's really cheap to do. Silver Helms with giant hands, yeah, that's true. So yeah, we give this model a ward save and we give it Death Cheater. Just 2 really cheap ways to keep quite an expensive bundle of wounds alive. What that means is we do have to shave some points, which we're going to do here, I think. We can just go drop it to... Do we drop both of these? Oh, we could drop the Bella as well. There we go. I think this is perfect. I think this, like, along the lines of what you're going for, this is pretty solid. I would probably want to buff the Iron Guts up in numbers, but I think what you've got is fine, and you're playing within a contained playgroup, so you know roughly the power level you're playing against. So I don't think this is a problem at all. I think this is probably a solid list to play. So, Michael. I'm hoping this is the correct Michael. Apologies if I've pinged the wrong one. Cool. Let's move on to Alex's Bretonnians. Bretonnians are a funny one because they're so popular. They're so kind of figured out. Alex says, looking to take this to a GT next week. No comp and straight kill points. Main questions are, what to do about the Duke's loadout? Other options are Heroism or Gromwell Greathelm, and then the Ogre Blade Syrian's Locket. You don't love the Anointed Armor. You're nervous about killing Blow. Multiple Tomb King players, another Bretonnian Duke out there. Second question is about the Grail Knights. They're only there to hold the Ruby Ring. You could add 3 Pegasus Knights instead. Last question is Lore Familiar worth it for the battle magic? Mountain Human are there for the reserve move shenanigans. You have up to 8 of them. And you're welcome. He said thank you in there as well. Hugh Bretonnia. Yes, that's funny. So, first things first. This is going to sound really boring, but we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to do what we know is good. And we're going to go the Virtue of Heroism. And we're going to go Gromwell Greathelm. Syrian's Locket, which gives you immunity to the multiple wounds. Not killing blow, but sometimes you just got to take that risk. And we'll put the... Where's it gone? There is something else that goes on here, isn't there? Am I nuts? Syrian's Locket, Gromwell Greathelm, 65. I think it's just a Gauntlet of the Duel, normally. Yeah, cool, that's fine. And then we go Lance as well. Shield, Royal Pegasus, Virtue of Heroism. So this Duke is good, and it's picked for a reason. It is so efficient at just being a beatstick that kind of deals with everything. The way you had it loaded out with the Heartwood Lance, it wasn't actually killing all that much more. You sometimes do Paymaster's Coin. Yes, perfect, thank you. That is the thing that I was looking for. I was like, I know there's something that should be filling up these points. If we're doing this, let's just do it correctly, and let's go Paymaster's Coin. There we go. Now we've got the Duke that does what you want him to do. The reason that you don't see, because you've gone for the Baron that you've given that loadout, the reason that you don't see that is he's got less wounds, so he's less able to sit out on his own anyway. And he has a worse weapon skill and less attacks. So Virtue of the Knightly Temper has way more effect on him because he's less likely to be hitting on 3s, so the reroll is more effective. And the extra attacks are more impactful because he's only got the 4 base instead of 5, right? It is 4, I think, yeah. Which I know I'm saying only 4. Bretonnians are very lucky. But let's just go with the classic 2. This is great. Prophetess. We're going to drop the Lore Familiar. Reason for that... yes, there are spells in Battle Magic which are incredible, but you are not dissatisfied with the Lore of the Lady spells. Like, you probably want to put regen on the big Death Star of Pegasus Knights and then just keep your wizard out of range. That's the best case scenario, realistically. If you roll Arcane Urgency, you can also just yeet them up the board very happily. So, Falconhorn, Battle Magic, sit towards the edges. And it also frees up points to go with the Ruby Ring of Ruin on this character as well, which, given that you've got reserve move, is super free to put in. Let's just do that. Wait. Why can't I put it in? Oh, because you've got it in here already. Right, we are going to get rid of the Grail Knights, and I'll talk about that in a second. Why can't I put the Ruby Ring in? Oh, Falcon Horn's also an enchanted item. Blech. Do we change anything about that? No, it's fine. I think you maybe just don't take the Ruby Ring, unfortunately. Falcon Horn is enchanted. Yeah, you could potentially put a Damsel in, or a Paladin with the Ruby Ring. I don't think that's worth doing. We can come back to that potentially. This squad of 6, if you're taking this squad here, and you're taking the banner anyway, I don't hate the War Banner. I think that's a pretty decent upgrade, and then we just tweak the points here to keep it close. I think that's fine. It just means that this squad's slightly more likely to do something. And if they die, they give up 25 more points. They're already a little bit of a liability, but you have to take them, right? Now, Pegasus Knights here is good. Mounted Yeoman is good. Let's go for the other squad of Pegasus Knights as well. You mentioned that you got another 3. And we're going to go with Banner of Honourable Warfare. This thing is a nightmare for people like dragons to deal with, because you reroll fail rolls to hit against missile weapons, so you put your heroism character in there. A dragon has a breath weapon. You go in, you challenge, you reroll your hits, you reroll... well, you don't reroll your wounds, but you've got a higher chance of blowing them, which is just a pain in the backside for them to deal with. You definitely want a first knight in there, and a musician is ideal if you can get it. So what do we have to cut? This is a little bit difficult because we're 28 points over. How do we cut that? Probably don't. Nothing honourable about the Bretonnian way of war. No, that is true. That is true. So we can't cut anything core. We're at 501. You could cut maybe 1 point. The question becomes, you drop this squad down to 4, but then you lose your Lookout Sir immediately. That's a little bit rough. Can drop the Grail Vow. Like, this is nice, but you don't need the magical attacks because you've already got a magic weapon. You're going to pray, so you don't need that. You lose the immune to psychology, which is honestly good. Yeah, maybe you just stick with your regular Knight's Vow here. I'm not upset at that. Questing Vow is good as well. Questing Vow is the better one, in my opinion, for this character, but we are squeezed on points. Graham was only needed if he had heroism to charge the dragon. Yeah. That makes sense. I'd still like to have it, but, we're squeezing points here. Beggars can't be choosers. I don't really know where we cut points here. 8. So maybe we just have to sacrifice the musicians. You know what? Let's just do exactly what you had, because that gets you to 500 points exactly. And we just go... and we lose 1 musician, and that takes you to 2,000. And then you can squeeze the points around if you want to. I really like musicians in these squads, but sometimes you've got to sacrifice things. And I think we haven't actually sacrificed anything particularly meaningful. Losing musicians probably the best case scenario. So, yeah. Oh, the reason I took the Grail Knights out is obviously I've been playing with Cold One Knights who have got the Ruby Ring. They're a multi-purpose unit. They do hit really hard on the charge with the Banner of Harganeth, but they're also T4 with a 2-up save. Grail Knights are real squishy. Yes, they're T4, but they don't have full plate. So that 3-up armor save and only 3 wounds for 151 points means it's so easy for them to just fall over. And there's not enough output there that if someone moves towards them to threaten them, that you can use them in a multi-purpose role. So I think I'm not a big fan of Grail Knights here. Evening, Scott. Hey, perfect. Or I might buy you a drink. Well, no, I'm broke at the moment. But I will come and say hi. I'm planning on coming up to Warhammer World around 4 or 5-ish tomorrow. Ed says, don't think you can put Cold One Knights in Bretonnian list, mate. I'm glad you're here to keep me honest. I'd be cheating. Great, really appreciate it. You are welcome, Alex. Thank you for coming and bringing your list. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left to do, and Oh, I'd like to be finished by 10. Let's see if we can roll through these. But if you are here and you haven't already, do feel free to give the stream a like. Appreciate the support, all of that good stuff, as it were. And if you want to support the channel, you can indeed become a member down below if you'd like to. O's Empire first tournament list. I do try and name these so I remember roughly whether I need to read something as well. So let's go up here, and this list is Empire. Lots of Empire. Lots of people really keen to play some Empire, which is cool. Empire are fun. So try and make this list for the first tournament I'm joining. Would love to receive feedback. The mission pack is linked. Unsure about the damage output and if the core is decent. Let's have a look here. I don't have the balls to look my opponent in the face and dare them to get out the rule book. It's probably not on Team England. People should always check rules if they're not sure. It's easy to get things wrong in this game. So this is okay. So there are hobby points, there are sportsmanship points, and there are okay. That's that. Named characters are allowed. Green Knight, you might not make any. Okay, that's fine. 0 to 3. Cool. This all makes kind of sense at the moment. This looks kind of like the sort of thing I'd expect to find in Throne of Skulls rule pack. It's pretty close to the standard. Time management. This is a very comprehensive. Okay, so you're capped at 17, but then you can get an additional 3 for the mission. Okay, so this is control the token. Where's the token? Yeah, center of the board. +1 to movement. You can. So I guess you've just got to control the center of the board, right? Okay, that's fine. Mission 2 is 5 relics. Jesus, that's a lot. Pick up the relics, hold them. Okay, oh god, there's a lot of words there. Battle of the Golden Spurs. Lots of bullet points. To a maximum of, okay, so you can do multiple different things. So this is a bit of a thematic event. Got a narrative lean to it. That's cool. Okay. I don't think that changes my mind much on what you'd go for. So let's look at the list. Wizard Lord, Engineer, 2 War Wagons. These are nice for standing near objectives, honestly, because they're pretty tanky. Cheap and tanky. The Knights of the White Wolf Death Star you'd expect to see. Yes, so one thing I would say is this unit definitely wants shields, and they probably want lancers. Unless the models you have specifically have great weapons, lancers are just out and out better than great weapons. I also probably don't think you need the Preceptor, but I guess that puts you over points-wise. Drilled and Summon is fine. I'd like a sixth model here, but it's whatever. I think there's not really a lot to tweak here. So again, like this character, I'd be very tempted to be looking at putting the Tome of Midnight on. Again, you don't get the +1 to cast, but you do know +1 spell. And you're on a Pegasus, so you're not drawing any units anyway. So this gives you a 5th spell known for battle magic, which when you know 5 spells, you're pretty much guaranteed to get the good spells, or as near as makes no difference. Power Scroll, Lore, Familiar Illusion, Pegasus. This is a good caster. I really like this. And then the 2 Engineers on War Wagons, I think, are solid beefy units, because they're, you know, pretty hard to chunk through. And they give you some staying power in the list. This is fine. I'm not super in love with the steam tank. But again, if you want stuff to stand by objectives, I think it's fine. And then the great cannons are solid as well. I think this is all right. The problem is, where do we shave some points? Because we are pretty down to the line. Maybe we just don't go with the Tome of Midnight. Maybe we just take that off and accept that that's how life is going to be. And we take off the Preceptor here. God damn it, that's so annoying. You're 1 point over. I think Drilled and Summon are really important. Maybe we don't make any tweaks to O's list. So just to talk through, this is good. This I'd like a 5th spell on. These 2 are good. Into core, the big unit here is good. I like it. Here, this unit, I'd like them to have lancers and shields. I think that would be better, but points make that kind of screwy. Triple cannon is solid because you're going to kill some things, not make any friends. And then the steam tank is a little bit inefficient, but with the context of the mission pack, I think it's pretty decent, and it's going to stand by objectives. So I think this list is fine. And because you've got such big units, it's hard to make any binary choices. So I'm just going to @O and just say, talked about list at roughly 90 mins, no changes made, but discussed thoughts. There we go. Because if someone's not here, I don't want to not post it and then they miss that I've talked about their list. So I think that's probably... I think this is pretty close to what you're going for. Damage-wise, it looks pretty solid. The Knights of the White Wolf will hit reasonably hard. The cannons will hit reasonably hard. The steam tank will kind of trundle through, and then the wizard's going to do some heavy lifting, hopefully. And the illusion caster should hopefully keep the dragons out of you. So yeah, I think it's decent. Let's go to... Someone mentioned Calador earlier. Let's have a look at the Calador list here. It's a Grand Army Calador list. Tistic, I think, is how that's pronounced. Let's scroll up. Have a look. So. There was some accompanying text with this one, I remember. Where did we get to? Here we go. Full melee Calador list, looking to rush at the enemy and overwhelm it. Not much more to say. Okay, cool. So with that in mind, I think we can rip out the guts of this, because Seaguard do not really do anything for what you want your list to do. Dragon Princes are good. The Chariots are fine. The Eagle's fine. The Skycutter's fine. But I probably wouldn't be taking the Bolt Thrower on it if we're going to full melee. I think what we're doing is we're filling up our core with Silver Helms. Yes, it's not the most efficient unit. Silver Helms are aggressively fine. But if you're going full send, I think let's just go full send. Let's just go really lean into it. I also think let's do the same with the Dragon Princes, realistically. Like, you could theoretically run 2 units of Dragon Princes here, and I don't think that would be an issue at all. So you wouldn't be able to give both of them the Lore Master's Cloak. I don't think we're going to give anything to this one. Like so. So we're just going to go like that. I think we probably... Like, the Great Eagle's good here, because it's going to give us some ability to deal with Impetuous. Same with the Loth and Skycutter. And I think... Let's remove the Tyrannok Chariots, because while they're kind of cute, I don't think they're adding much. Instead of Dragon Princes, what about Cold War Knights? I'd make that change every day of the week. You know I would. This is solid here. The Silverond, Ring of Fury, Seeded Rebirth. I like it. And then you've got a dragon as well. Was the dragon good? Great weapon, full plate, Star Dragon. Yes, so you've given him the Burning Blade as well as a great weapon. If you have a magic item, you have to use the magic item. So let's just drop the Burning Blade. I'm assuming this is to deal with like the Green Knight, but it stops you from being useful at all with that great weapon. Charm Shield is fine because you've only got a 6-up ward normally. And then you've gone Dragon Helm, Opal Amulet, Cedar Rebirth is good. Yep. Bloody Calador as well. So we're still points over. Honestly, do we just like drop the Loth and Skycutter? Yeah, I think so. And then we just like drop a musician here or something. I think if you wanted full send Calador, this is probably a good way to do it. I don't hate this at all. Like maybe the Archmage doesn't need to be this tooled up, given that it's joining one of the 2 units of Dragon Princes. But I think this is solid. I think this is going to do what you want it to do. It's going to hit hard, and it plays closer to the melee list. I did have a look at this one earlier, because I do like the concept of just a full melee list. So we can just go like so. But yeah, this is a more streamlined, much more violent version of the list. Hope that helps. Let's go on to Val, who said they were new and they had a 1,500 point event that they were going to. Let's have a look here. There was some context with it, I believe. New player looking to attend a local 1,500 point event and figured out what I like. I've been slowly building and painting Words of Chaos as a back burner over the 6 months. No level 3 or 4 wizards, no units or characters over 250 points, max of 2 of each core choice, each special and rare is limited to 1 per game. That's fun. Sorcery goes with the Marauder Horseman, and the Mounted Aspiring Champion goes with the Chosen Knights. I figured Dark Magic was good for all the Battle Lust targets. Here's a slight problem. You said you can have... Oh no, special and rare, so I guess characters aren't limited, which is why, because you've got 2 Aspiring Champions. So let's have a look at this. So this I don't hate at all. So you're a Marcus Inch, so you're getting +3 to cast. You're, you know all of the spells because of the Grimoire, which I think is fine. And Dark Magic is okay. I don't think it's super exciting, but I think given the context of the event you're in, it's actually pretty solid. Because you can give the Marauder Horsemen, or the Warriors, or the Chosen, or the Dragon Ogres Battle Lust, and you're pretty happy about that. So I don't hate that at all. I'm not super in love with the Chaos Spawn, but that's fine, we can get to that. So, Exalted Sorcerer, you've got level 2 Zinch, Demonic Mount, Dark Magic Grimoire. I think that's okay. I probably would have just gone with the Chaos Steed, but it's not the end of the world if you've got a Demonic Mount, especially from a modelling perspective, especially because they're your general. BSB, Aspiring Champion, I do like this. Mark of Nurgle, with a Favour of the Gods. This is a solid loadout. Honestly? No, it's capped at 250, so we're going to stop there. I was going to give it a regen, but there's not much else that we can do with that one, I think. Aspiring Champion. Lance, Undivided, Steed, Favour, Ruby Ring. I don't know that the Ruby Ring helps. You did say that it was... Mounted Aspiring Champion goes with the Chosen Knights. Yeah, the Chosen Knights need to be charging pretty much every turn. So you definitely don't want to be putting a Ruby Ring or Ruin on this character. Because if you're ever shooting him, you're losing a lot of value, basically. Warhounds are good, the Marauder Horseman's good, and the Chaos Warriors. I think this is cute. I think this is fun. So they are Mark of Khorne with hand weapon shields. So they're up to a second attack. Taskmaster's Scourge gives them plus D3 to their movement on leadership tests. So they can actually run around kind of fast, which again, in the context of this, is pretty solid. And then, I guess not a great target for Battle Lust because they've got Frenzy already, but you know, it's something. Maybe I'd give them a weapon as well, but I don't think it matters too much. Chosen Knights are really solid. They're going to do some heavy lifting here. This is your sort of like, I'm going to win the game with this unit. Dragon Ogres are great weapon, heavy armor, no changes, and then Chaos Spawn. These are fine. I don't hate them. So then it comes down to what are we doing with the remaining 30 points. Now we've taken out the Ruby Ring. Maybe we go... God, the jump from Aspiring Champion to Exalted Champion is very expensive. It's plus 55 points. But it is good. It is solid. Maybe we make that change. And you're just going Lance, Chaos Steed, magic items, a single Favour of the Gods. I think I'd like to see Brazen Collar on this unit of Chosen Knights, because if they get spells cast on them, they're going to struggle, and also there's no level 3s and 4s, so this basically makes them immune to magic by giving them magic resist too. Let's also give them a rampaging banner, so they definitely get into combat, and I think let's just drop the Chaos Spawn and kind of all in on this unit here. We do have to make some cuts still. Oh, the Aspiring Champion. So that gives us, we're still about 30 points under. I don't want to add a 6th model here. You're already putting something in there, so that's fine. Maybe it's just a couple more Chaos Warriors. Get it up to 14. There we go. I think this is solid. Like, I think this is going to slap. You're gonna do a lot of work with this list. Just make sure that the Chosen Knights are where you need them to be. That's the big thing here. And this was for Val. Perfect. I hope that is helpful, Val. let's go on to some lizards. Always fun to see lizards. This is Renegades. Anyone a fan of the new Oblivion remaster? I haven't played Oblivion, honestly, but I did see that there was some controversy about it to do with the cost. I think the full $60 price point has put people off, which is super reasonable. Justin says, want to bust out my Lizardman because everyone in the area is using the Renegade pack. Only thing I'm set on, I really want to run is the Temple Garden Slan. I think that is Temple Garden Slan are very good, so you're not wrong to do that. Okay, so you've got the Ruby Ring of Ruin on the unit champion. Let's immediately take that off and put it on the Slan. The reason for that is the Slan can cast while it's engaged in combat, which I think it probably shouldn't be able to, but let's make the most of it. We've got Warbanner BSB, which is solid. Lore Familiar, I think, is not necessary because you're already getting a 5th spell, but it's okay. It's not, you know, it's not a problem. The +3 to dispel range and rerolling is very good as well. So, I think the Slan is great. The Saurus is very violent. I'm a big fan of that. Ogre Blade, Talisman Protection on the Carnosaur. This one is kind of whatever. I don't love it or hate it, but it's going to go with the Cold One Riders, so I think that's okay. You just got to like a little missile that's going to have a 3-up save, I guess. T5 3-up save with 2 wounds. That's fine. That's fine. And it's going to hit reasonably hard because you've got your 4 attacks base and then you've got your Furious Charge as well, so it's gonna slap. Hell yeah, your lizards, let's go. So I think these characters are fine. This is one that you could make cuts to, but I think it's just okay to have. Skinks, I think we want to give 2 units of these Vanguard. Just, it feels like the sort of thing that you might want to do. We do need to buff up the points slightly. So let's go... What's the easiest way to do that? I guess it's probably Skinks. You probably don't need to go much above 16. So we go 12, 12, 12... get one of them to 13, and that only puts us 2 points above. Cool. Got the stupid Discord that you need a full name. Oh, yeah. It's a pain in the backside, isn't it, when you join one of those? Cool. Bastillodon, Cold One Riders as well. Yeah, this is good. Ah, I see the issue. The points is probably why the Temple Guard had the Ruby Ring. I still think I don't want the Ruby Ring there. I think I still want it in characters, because the Slan being able to Ruby Ring while it's engaged is such a pain in the backside to deal with. But that does leave us with a little bit of a problem in terms of points. I don't really want to drop anything off this. Because you're at core points here. God, cold ones are so expensive for what they are. Pack leader's probably important. Oh, we haven't even got cav spears on them. Oof. So we're even further over. 2+ save on this guy. Only if you use your shield, right, instead of the great weapon. So realistically, you're probably going to be using your great weapon instead of just slapping with an AP1 hand weapon. So this does put us a full 30 points over. That's a bugger. There's not even a good way to remove it. Like, you know what I would be tempted to do? Honestly? You're getting 5 spells. I'd just roll. Like, that's the way to make the points work. Don't know if you wanted the Scarf out of the Skink Priest. He seems like a cool missile. I agree. Yeah, I think if you want to play him, I think he's probably solid. And this delivery system is pretty good as well. So, yeah, I think you can drop the Lore Familiar pretty safely. You know 5 spells. 1 in 6 games, you don't get the spell that you want, which sucks. But I think it just feels wrong to me to have 5 spells and to buy a Lore Familiar. The Ruby Ring interaction is weird. Oh, what, just being able to cast because he's not in combat and he's able to cast, yeah. He's a right bugger, isn't he? So yeah, I think I wouldn't actually change much. So the Temple Guard, I like. The Skirmishers, the Skinks, I've given an extra 1 Vanguard and then just added some numbers to fill out the core. The Bastillodons are good just in general. And then the Cold One Riders, I don't think we made any changes here. Oh, gave them Cav Spears because they were missing it. But yeah, I think this list makes sense. Like, I see what you're going for. The tweaks that maybe you make is you don't run the Cold One Riders, you don't want the Scar Veteran, and you run Priest or Priests instead, and you use them as a conduit for the Slanate Priest to, fire through. But, yeah. No, I know you're saying they're not sacred. I think it's fun, and it's fine to have one thing in a list that is not bad but not super efficient. Give it a go, and you can drop this 300 or 430 odd point package if you find that the Scar Veteran plus the Cold One Riders don't do much, and then you just go, here's some more, here's a couple of Skink Priests, maybe another Bastiladon, something along those lines. I think that's a really easy tweak to make, so give this a go. I think this is more fun, even if it's maybe not the super efficient choice. But yeah, let's go with that, and it is Justin. Nice. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. How are we doing? Perfect. So let's go to Reaver Games Dark Elves, and I swear to God, I'm going to scream. Ian has come to the light, and he's writing lists that make sense, and then he's given me this, and it's driving me nuts. Damn you, Ian. He did put some justification for why he's written a list like this, but I still disagree. Where's he up to? Here we go. Seeing as we've spoken about my list from last time, I thought I'd bring something a bit different. The list is assuming Earthen Ramparts is ruled as there being a low linear obstacle that stops impact hits, and stomps, importantly. It's very, very, very rough draft. Items, I'm not sure on at all. I'd love an assassin in there, but can't have it all. Anyway, you get the vibe of the list. See what you think. Don't hold back. I do not like it. You've got a Dreadlord who is... He's expensive. He's 240 points. He's got a 3-up armor save. He's got the Pendant of Caleth, which is good, and he's got a Sword of Battle. Sword of Battle is 60 points for an unbelievably mediocre item. You get 5 attacks at Strength 5, AP 1 with Armor Vein 1. That just doesn't do it for me. Like, if anything, maybe we go into Executioner's Axe, but even that I don't think is good, because the strikes last. It means that you strike at initiative, it's kind of whatever. No worries, Skulls. You've written a good list. Sometimes when the lists are good, I don't have a lot to do. But do play around with it and let me know if there's any tweaks that you want to make. So I think the core concept of this list I don't like. Basically, it's a big unit of Blackguard with supporting characters. And then we're going to just cut the War Hydra immediately, because it's yeah, and then the Doomfire Warlocks are fine. I don't hate Doomfire Warlocks anywhere near as much. They're fast cav, they're cheapish, they can cast spells, so I can see more use to them. But just like this whole package, I don't think it works, is the problem. And the entire list is built around the big Death Star of Blackguard with supporting characters. So I can't really criticize the list much in that I don't think it fundamentally works. I think even with the Earthen Rampart stopping stomps, you still just go for a dragon. And then you just get a bit smarter about who you charge. That would probably be what I do. I don't see this list doing anything. Obviously, so this might sound really harsh if you're outside the context. So I know Ian a bit. I've played him. I think this is in the context of looking for a list to take to a tournament. We've talked about sort of the things that do and don't work in Dark Elves previously, and I just think this is going down a route that doesn't make any sense in terms of trying to write a competitive list, unfortunately. It's a lot of Blackguard. It is a lot of Blackguard. Which, like, Death Stars, infantry Death Stars are cute. I like them in theory, but this is not one for me, I think. So that is that, and I will at Reaver Games. Don't hold back. Tell Ian what you really think. Yeah, it's discussed lists at 2145-ish. There we go. They're easily avoided. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, there's just no reason for me to want to engage with it. And if I was playing my list, or any of my lists, I'd kill the repeater crossbows. I'd try and shoot the Dark Riders to death with magic missiles. And the Doomfire Warlocks. I know they are fast cav, so in theory they are easy to avoid. But that's probably the way to do it. And then potentially, front charge the Blackguard with, like, the Griffin BSB and, you know, soak a challenge with them, which I don't care about in the Dreadlord because he's not going to hurt a T5 3-up save model. And then I like charge in the side with the dragon. I don't think this is a list format that would work, unfortunately. If you're doing it for casual games, you know, or narrative games, hell yeah, go for it. I think the list is cool. I will say that. Okay, last one here. Arcanus's vampire counts. So. This is... There are some things to tweak here. This is basically an infantry-heavy list with a Terrorgeist, 3 Vargeists, and then some characters. So, first of all, vampire count. You've got a level 2 that also is wearing heavy armor. Unfortunately, if you're a wizard, you can't wear heavy armor at all, which is a real shame. It's a real shame. You've also gone super heavy on the vampire powers. So, Curse the Revenant... +1 to wound is probably not worth the 50 points, so let's just take that out. Supernatural Horror, giving them terror, that's fine. And then Master of the Black Arts, getting to a level 3 wizard, that's okay. We're going to take off the armor because you can't be armored. And then you've got Blood Drinker as well. I don't think this really does much. It's a very expensive foot level 3 wizard that does a little bit of damage in combat. It's not great. So it'll be strength 6 with the Blood Drinker with 4 attacks. Blood Drinker here is strength +1, AP +1. Oh no, strength user AP -1, and then you recover a single lost wound. I don't think that is a build that sort of works around, honestly. I just don't think a foot vampire count does much, I would say. However, if you want one because you like him, let's just go not a wizard. Which it feels a little bit weird to go with that, but I think you can have like a cool character in here without spending 1,000,000 points to make them a wizard and just make them a little bit ineffective at the other job that they do. So I think something like this, where you just go like a great weapon, heavy armor, shield, not a wizard. He does cause terror. Could make him a bit tankier as well. Give him a talisman protection or something like that. Yeah, so you're saying that it needs to be a faster list. In theory, yes. The goal of the Fix My List series is not necessarily to just be like, here's the competitive version of the, you know, vampire counts. It's to try and keep the spirit of the list together where possible. And I think Undead are an army that can do that. So we could go, you know, like, it's not the end of the world to go for a foot vampire count. It's not the most competitive choice, but if you want to have like a vampire as your general that kind of just slaps in combat, it's fine. You know, you got a triple save, you've got a great weapon, you're going to go in a unit and do something. The Master Necromancer here, Cloak of Mist and Shadow, and Scepter of Denaro. So the Scepter's great. This gives you the ability to res twice. Let's give you a spell familiar as well, so you know a 5th spell. The problem with Cloak and Mist of Shadows is that you can't join units. So if your opponent has Pillar of Fire, you're going to lose your Necromancer very quickly. This is probably too much of a problem that you have to just lose the Cloak of Mist of Shadows, in my opinion. What you can do is, because you're going Necromancy, there is Spectral Steed. So you can cast this on yourself, and it gives you a fly move as well. Michael just watched the part where you tweet the Ogre list. Thank you very much. You're very welcome, Michael. Glad to have you here. Hope it was helpful. So yeah, so we've got the Necromancer and we've dropped the Cloak, just because that way, if your opponent has got like a Battle Magic Wizard and they're going to be firing Pillar of Fire, you can just join it into a unit. Is it Renegade? If so, the Vamp can wear armor. I don't think so. It doesn't say that it is. Are great weapons undercosted or magic weapons grossly overcosted? Kind of a bit of column A, column B, I think, realistically. I like this, the Cairn Wraith Tomb Banshee, but Tomb Banshee. I think this is just fun. Tomb Banshees are obviously good. Cairn Wraiths are good. You know what, actually? Let's put the Cloak back in, because you probably want to give one of the Banshees the Spectral Steed so it can fly forwards, fly backwards, and do its scream. Let's put in a unit of Spirit Hosts, because you're able to join them with ethereal models. So the Cloak of Mr. Shadows is the one that gives you ethereal, right? Let me just double check. I haven't invented? Yes, so because you're ethereal, you can't join to a non-ethereal unit, but by putting in some spirit hosts, you've made it safe to join. You know, you can put the character in here, or you can put the Tomb Banshees in. You can attach multiple characters, and it makes them safe from Pillar of Fire. So that just keeps you from losing the game too easily. Crypt Ghouls are fine. This is a bit of a big unit, although you do want to res, so I think that's okay. Direwolves are fine. You've gone to a very specific 500, so I'm not going to take off the Doom Wolf. I don't think it's super useful here, though. Skeleton Warriors, it's a big unit, Skeleton Warriors. Zombies are better, but again, if we're working with sort of what you've got already, this is fine. I'd be tempted to go War Banner here, and just go, you know, slightly less skellies, but you've got a little bit more combat res. So Horde, War Banner, Standard Bearer, this at close order, it's taking up to what? 3, 4, 5, 6. You're not winning against a dragon, but you're tying up things a little bit better. You're losing less to combat res, which is not awful. I don't hate that at all. The Crypt Ghouls, I'm kind of on the fence. I kind of want to split these into 2 units, but the fact that you're able to res them is kind of useful. Maybe just leave them as it stands. I haven't actually used Crypt Ghouls. I know they're solid, but let's just go 2 units of 11. Like this. And we can get rid of the unit champions. And then if we just go 1 more. Something like this. Musicians on Skeleton's Worth. I really like musicians on Undead. So yes, it doesn't... You know, you don't need to take leadership tests if you're going to fail. But you're all about attrition. So if your opponent gets +6 combat res and you get +6 combat res just because of your static combat res, and you have a musician and they don't, suddenly you've got a large brick of skellies that might double outnumber them and make them run away. I've lost a dragon, genuinely, to a brick of skeletons because I'm a musician. I would pay for them. Like, for 5 points, musicians on Undead, I really value, for the big units. Graveguard, 20 here. You could put these in core and then drop some of the other units. And if you're going for them, you probably want to be taking the Draken. Yes, Drakenhof Banner. Makes them nice and tanky. You have gone for hand weapons and shields, that's fine. Drilled, I probably wouldn't bother with Drilled. You can get away with not having it, and the magic banner is much more important. And then you've got a Terror Ghost and the Vargeists. Both of these are fine. Like, Vargeists are kind of hard to use because they're frenzy. But this feels more like a collection of models that you have as opposed to looking to write like a super competitive list. So I think both of these are fine models. Obviously, Terrorgeist leans into the Scream angle really nicely, and the Vargeists are just kind of like, they hit kind of hard. So they have Frenzy, which means that they have 4 attacks each at Weapon Skill 4, which is good for Undead and it's good for Monstrous Infantry. They are Strength 5 base, and then they've got Wicked Claws, so Strength 5 AP2. You kind of just slap, and you've got Armor Bane too as well. They are impossible to control. Fly 9 with Frenzy it's a large range, but yeah, if they get into something that you want them to get into, they'll do like a surprising amount of damage. So I think that's cute. I think that's fun. And then we just need to make some changes here to get you below. Obviously, if you wanted to make tweaks, just as a general point, you'd put the Necromancer on the Mortis engine, you'd probably take out the Vampire count, or put it on like an Abyssal Terror and fly around doing the level 3 illusion casting, Spectral Doppelganger shenanigans, but you don't need to take it. Tomb Banshees are great. Cairn Wraith is not bad for how cheap it is, honestly. It's 50 points for a Terror Causer that can just fly around or like charge a dragon in the flank and just never lose combat because you've got the +1 for the flank charge. Yeah, it's interesting. So let's just, I guess, take off some points here. That's a little bit annoying. I want to shave 3 points from core if we can. Is there a way to do that? So -6. Hold on, that's the opposite of what I was trying to do. So we're now 12 points off. Oh man, there's got to be a good way to do this. No, here we go. I've got it. So we go Doomwolf here. Doomwolf here. Boom. 2,000 points on the nose. Hell yeah. Good job all. Well done us. So if we go Arcanis. I forgot to put a C in here. Boom. So that's tweaked to the version that you've posted, but obviously there are some tweaks you can make it more effective. But also, you know, it's vampire counts. It's a pretty solid army as it stands, so it's not the end of the world if you want to play something that is not super cutthroat. And this does feel like a shambling horde, and hopefully some of the tweaks we've made here will make it easier for you to play, make the list play more in the way that you want it to. Thank you all for joining me for this Fix My List stream. As I've said a couple of times now over the evening, going to be looking at doing these every week. There will be one next week. I don't think there'll be one the week after that because I will be down in Saffron Walden for a tournament. I believe it's the weekend after that. So, I'll be travelling on the Friday. But I will see you next week. And